Okay, Luther. They started coming in. Are you ready to start?
Yeah, I'm ready. Will the car be waiting to take me to the airport after?
Immediately after. You'll be back in Accra this time tomorrow. I know we've said it a dozen times already, but thank you so much for coming back for these interviews. You're going to be outstanding. Okay, I'll start bringing them up. Head right over to the interview room and I'll bring them.
Okay, sounds good. But, hey, do me a favor and hold on to this for me. Don't play it yet, just have it ready.
A recorder? What's on it?
That's a part of the interview. Just hold on to it and play it when I ask.
Got it. Wait, Luther. Don't get comfortable yet. It's my pleasure to introduce
His Excellency, Kweku Torre. Honored to meet the auteur.
It's excellent to meet you. My name is Luther Frimpong.
You don't have to introduce yourself. I have been such a fan of your work for years. Your reporting and letters during the war years, just chilling. Just a pure work of art.
Well, I'm glad you like the work.
Like? I don't like it. I respect it, and you. Realness is so hard to find these days, and your interviews are as real as they come. When I heard that you came back to the States to do these interviews, I knew I had to come and help you bring this story the justice it deserves.
Well, I'm looking forward to whatever story you end up telling. Come on, let's get you set up. Please, feel free to introduce yourself however you like.
Do you have any questions to get me started?
No, those come later. From now, please just share any information.
Okay. I am Michael Grimes, and I am a veteran. I have the honor of still fighting for the American people as Deputy Secretary of Defense for President Armstrong's administration.
So the general...
Look, I'm here to give you an honest interview on behalf of the Armstrong administration. All right, the president himself asked me to come down here to make sure you heard the truth, but I'm going to end this interview right now if you continue to disrespect him like that.
There's no disrespect. As far as I know, General Armstrong has not called for elections yet. Until he does and is elected, then he's a general, not a president.
Yeah, well, for someone who's been out of the country as long as you've been, I'm not surprised you're underinformed. All right, that man is single-handedly putting this country back together.
Why does the name matter so much to you?
Because no matter what happens, people remember names. Amazon, Apple, the name has to stick or the company is done. We wanted the name of our company to represent exactly the kind of work we were doing. Exciting, groundbreaking work. Work to take humanity further than it's ever been. So we called ourselves Further Beyond.
Like the old explorers used to say.
Not to toot my own horn, but I came up with that rebrand when I took over as communications head. Imagine that one day people thought that the world ended off the coast of Europe. Maps outright said there was nothing beyond what they could see past Portugal. And then the next day, they learned of the Americas, of the New World. When that colony ship took off for Ophir, I kept thinking of that new world.
And all the riches that someone could find there.
Absolutely. Enlightened self-interest is an American ideal. If we could open up a new world and make out all right for ourselves at the same time, that's just two birds, one stone.
Fair enough. But let's talk about that new world.
Please, let's.
You talk a lot about newness. I mean, we're here 5 years after the destruction of the first man-made colony in space. From the moment the colony ship left orbit, people were saying the Ophir mission was just capitalism and militarism going universal instead of just global. So, tell me, truly, what's new?
Well, I can't have you define us just by what was done to us. You should define us and what we're trying to do too. I swear, utopia might have been my first word as many times I heard it growing up on over here. We were going to find a land of our own, one where we could live as people, not workers, not African Americans, not any other political category, just people. Humanity was never meant to be so hemmed in by places or titles. We were meant to break out, migrate and see something new. So Victor taught us when he led us to the stars. You get me?
No. Remind me so much of Victor, though. When we were fighting together, he would always be telling me his dreams of going to space.
They weren't just dreams. They were plans. Plans live differently than we ever had before.
I mean, no disrespect. He was a friend of mine. I even told him when he got tired of his little colony, he could come join me in Accra. Sent him the address to my place and everything.
A leader, he would never leave us.
I know.
He was a visionary, a teacher.
A terrorist. All right, I will say it again. Victor Africa is a textbook terrorist. All right, what else would you call somebody who tries to violently break away from the rest of the country?
Look, I will be the first to say that what happened should have never happened. It's truly sad that we stumbled while taking our first big steps in space. But to expect everything to go perfectly with something as experimental as this was unreasonable. We were upfront and clear about all the risks, and Victor agreed. No one was forced to go.
But they were forced to stay.
Which, again, we were clear about. Look, the initial cost of the launch meant that we only had enough seed capital to send one ship, one way, one time. The plan was that once the colony was functional and we could prove that the asteroid that Ophir was built on was chock full of rare earth minerals, then we could establish the credit to send another ship and start bringing back minerals.
Oh.
And people, if they wanted to come back.
But the
That was our
asteroid,
deal.
but the asteroid wasn't the mother lode that you thought it was.
No, it was.
And then they were harder to get to than you thought they were.
Much, yes. The machinery that we sent to do the job was an order of magnitude weaker than what we needed, so we had to improvise to keep the mission alive.
I remember having to get up at 5 a.m. every day Earth time, but Sundays. Sundays was like our break day, but really that was just a day for us to handle our domestic work. Cleaning up the living quarters, trying to make vegetables grow in the terrarium, whatever else. I was a kid then, so I spent a lot of my mornings with the teachers, while the adults tried to break as much ground as they could on the surface. They could only ever make little cracks and crevices. So in the afternoons, me and the other kids would spend time in the crevices trying to extract as many loose minerals as we could.
And you did all that with hand tools?
That's all that could ever fit. Even with the laser cutter in hand, it was really hard to even turn around in some of those tunnels. I remember one time, the elders were screaming with the colony bosses about how they needed more time to work. They could make the little mines bigger, big enough for the adults to get into so the kids could take a break.
And further beyond, staff refused.
Every time. Well, right up until the day before Clarence Day.
What happened was tragic and avoidable.
This administration has been very clear from the beginning. Our only interest is in stabilizing the country. But then we got the distress call from the colony. They told us outright that the terrorists were trying to secede. They lowered the American flag and they raised their own. Can you imagine that? I mean, we all agreed. That couldn't stand. After how hard we all fought to put this country back together again, to have another secession, to have another invitation to chaos, no. No, that would not stand.
I used to play a lot with Clarence. Play in the nasty way that kids play. He called me a small fry. I'd rip up his drawings and call him supersized. Stuff like that. His mom always made really good stew out of freeze-dried rations. It ain't a surprise he was as chubby as he was. That crevice that he was in would have been a tight fit for me too. One of the supervisors of the company thought he could fit and told him to get down there. Clarence worked his way into the hole. He just couldn't work his way back out again. He was stuck. The parents started running, trying to go get hand tools to make the hole bigger. Some of the employees followed suit until one of the big bosses said we couldn't. The hole was too unstable and all Clarence kicking was weakening it. If they tried to use those hand tools, there was a possibility that the whole thing could collapse. They didn't want that liability. They said they'd think of something else. So they thought and thought and thought. For an hour, they thought, while Clarence was screaming and crying. Eventually, his mom couldn't take it anymore. She waited until the guards weren't looking. Then she raced off with a laser cutter in her hand to her son. The guards followed her, and the elders followed them. And eventually, a fight broke out right next to the hole, until the whole thing collapsed, and it made a grave for Clarence.
I wasn't aware of that. I only ever received reports from the managers on the colony. We could have never known that conditions were that bad.
You were never suspicious that you didn't hear from anyone except the managers.
We hired them to do a job. I don't doubt that life on the colony was hard, but there's still no evidence of any of the abuses except from the testimonies of people with suspended sentences for treason, and that's not enough to go on.
I do agree with you on that, which is why I wanted to hear your take on this. Can we roll the tape?
Yeah.
Luther, I wanted to come see that sour face of yours one more time before I went. I'm thinking that might not happen for a while. A long while, because you always seem to know how to find your way out of trouble, while I just find more. Listen, we don't have much time at this point. I don't know what stories will be told about this, but the truth is this. People died here. Children died here. But we died for something. We raised a banner for ourselves. A little boy named Clarence drew it. He was an artist, and he dreamed of making us a flag for our new home. So we raised it up to remember him. We raised it up to say we cannot live the same way we did on Earth, among the stars here. This flag will burn with us, but it will be remembered. It'll be remembered by our survivors. We were caught by surprise, but some of us were near the bunkers and are sheltering there. Me? I intend to fight. I refuse to go back to that prison Earth. And all I ask of you, friend, is to do as you did during the war. Keep me alive. Keep us all alive. Keep us.
How could we have known that? So much fog of war. Workers never sent complaint.
How could they?
I mean, if we had known, we would have protected them. We wouldn't have administration. I didn't know.
This kind of gotcha journalism is not what I expected from you. I'm disappointed. We're finished here.
Clarence was always working on this. I ripped up a version of it once. He just kept going. 3 black stars to represent people all over the world. forgotten history. Gold for transformation. Green for future prosperity. And red, bloodshed to be forgotten.